Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning into our YouTube channel. I'm April. In this week's episode, we talk about letting things go. Unfortunately, there are times in our lives where unforgiveness creeps in and robs us of our joy, robs us of our peace, robs us of our sleep, and our ability to have meaningful relationships. And so in this week's episode, the Totally Naked host talk about some of the challenges they've had with unforgiveness and being able to let things go and move forward in their lives. And so we want you to stay locked in, stay tuned in, because we have a lot that we have to discuss, and we want you to be with us so that we can move forward in our lives with breaking the barriers of unforgiveness. So stay tuned.
Caressing me. Come on, Tony. Hey guys, welcome to Totally Naked. I'm Dominique.
I'm Jackson.
I'm April.
I'm Dante.
Unforgiveness. Unforgiveness or forgiving someone is one of the most difficult things that we can do.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, with unforgiveness, there is disease, and sometimes that heartache and that heartbreak has devastating effects on our bodies. According to our article by John Hopkins, it actually is leading to diseases like heart attack, stroke, and depression. And so today we want to just talk about, like, why is it so difficult for people to just let it go?
Yeah, I think for me sometimes, if I'm being transparent, I think that it's not so much of not being able to let it go without identifying the root cause. So I'm saying that to say I was operating in a lot of unforgiveness unknowingly.
Yeah.
Okay, because my story is this. I have a stepfather, his name was Alfie. He was awesome. But he wasn't my biological father. Mm-hmm. And my biological father just abandoned me, just didn't want me, threw me to the side. And that level of hurt ended up manifesting in my subconscious. And it was the driving force behind all of my decision making. It was the driving force behind why I didn't let people in close to me. Mm-hmm. It was the driving force behind why I had abandonment issues that I know about now and didn't realize I had it back then.
Wow.
Right? And then also the feelings of not being worthy. So for me, it's like, bruh, I was carrying around all of this, and now I have awareness about it. Mm-hmm. It's like, do I want to forgive the man who you caused me to have all of these things happening, all of these things in my mind about who I am and what I am, and just, it was killing me on the inside. And for me to say, I forgive you for that, it was kind of like, no, I don't forgive you for that. Right. Because you the reason why I made these bad decisions. Your choice ended up affecting my choice. That for me was why in the beginning was very difficult to let it go.
Yeah, we have very similar stories. I really didn't know that. So, my father wasn't there as well. And it was really the force behind not getting emotionally attached to people. Yeah. Because you really have to, I guess, insulate yourself with, you just feel like you're going to be let down. So it's like everything that you do is all about, I need to make sure that I'm taken care of. I need to make sure, and it almost makes you selfish in a way because you are only concerned about yourself and not being able to really plug into everybody else.
Letting people in part.
Because you don't really know how to do that if, number one, you haven't been taught that, and it's something that should be organically passed down, especially from father to son. I'm not saying there's anything with the daughters, but it's something that it should really taught, because that's where your self-worth and everything comes from. So with that, I actually had to forgive him, but I didn't do it until like I was in my 20s.
I didn't do it till this year.
I had to. And there was a whole situation, and so I have to explain to him how things affected me and how I hate to say it, but he's like the perfect example of what not to be as a father. And I guess that's really what is driving me behind being such an awesome father to my kids.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, oh my God, I'm awesome, but
Yeah.
I'm saying there is some intentionality right now behind how I'm interacting and speaking to and communicating with my sons, because it's very important.
I think that one of the things that both of you are talking about is the fact that when you do have unforgiveness, or if you have a circumstance that happens to you that someone may have like done wrong to you, and maybe in their own selfishness, not even realizing that they may have done that, but then what ends up happening is that we have a choice or a decision to make on how we will respond. And I think that that's one of the greatest things about realizing when to forgive or when to let something go, or how we will handle a situation when someone does something to us, because it is really a decision. And so
Absolutely.
some people decide that, you know what, because something as serious as being molested, that has happened in my family, thank God, due to my mom and my sister, my older sister, and some other circumstances that have happened to them. My mom responded in a way where she was bent on avoiding such things happening to us, to the point where when I would want to go and do a sleepover, it was like, you can't go. And like, why not? Well, your friend has, uncles there, or a granddad, or a mom, so then it's like, to not put the kids or put us in that position, she just avoided it. So we make a decision to either, one, say we're going to live despite this horrible thing happened to us, or, you know what, this is what I'll do differently.
Yeah.
Because that
you
happened.
bring up a good point, and I'm sorry, but you bring up a good point, because I think that our unforgiveness drives the decision. Something happening to your mom or somebody else shouldn't have been the driving force to why you couldn't enjoy your childhood.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I get that, the protection part, but like for me, that's the whole piece of the why is it so hard to let it go? Well, because it hurt me and it scarred me, so I need to protect everything else around me. But hey, you're protect everything else around you. You are hindering other people's experiences in their lives, like especially from a parental standpoint.
Right.
I mean, I get that. I honestly, in that situation, I felt like at the time when I was a kid, it didn't make sense to me. And, I really was like, man, it would be nice to have a sleepover, like everyone else is doing it. But when I became an adult, and it didn't take long at all, I'm grateful, because there's so many people that I know that those experiences, like, they did not. And it was some of those situations where they may have gone over to another family member's house and the uncle was there, and, something bad happened. And, and I was grateful that she responded. I think that is the way we respond. She didn't do it in a way that made me feel like I was missing out so much. There were still things I was able to do. We weren't sheltered that much that, but I do think that how we respond is important.
Yeah, and I think the other piece too is we're human. Talking about letting go, it is not an easy thing. And I think also it depends on how it happened and what the total nature of the situation is. What is the validity of it? Is it major? Did it really cause me to have a shift, as we talked about last week? Or is it something that's easy for me to get over? And I think also it's also a thing of maturity too, right? I think we also, a lot of the reasons why we linger in certain situations and it's so hard to let go, whether it be relationship or depression or molestation or whatever, is because we really just don't know. And I think that's a human characteristic. It's a human frailty. But I think the question now is, now that if we don't know, if we've experienced that issue where we can't let go, how do we move past that?
Right.
Yeah, I think that when you talk about how do we let go, I think that there are circumstances and situations that occur that we have to be really honest about, and say, it affects me, because a lot of times what we end up having is a opiate epidemic or alcoholism, and it's like, why is that happening? Is it because maybe I'm self-medicating?
Yeah.
And and really being able to say to yourself, this hurt me. Me not having my dad caused me to feel like I need to find love, and sometimes find love in the wrong places and looking for it, And so and me doing that, is that beneficial to my life moving forward? And a lot of times the things that we choose, because we don't sit there and do that self-assessment or reflection, are things that are harmful to us. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
I absolutely agree with it. It's because it's like at some point we have to start taking some accountability in the hurt that we're experiencing.
Yeah.
Right. So like you brought up the issue of someone was molested. Obviously that's out of their control. They obviously didn't put themselves in a situation like that. But years down the line, are you still going to be angry that this happened to you?
Right.
Or are you going to make a decision now to say, yeah, this happened to me and karma going to come back and get you, okay?
Yes.
But I cannot allow this incident to hover over me so heavy like a cloud where it's altering my decision. And that's kind of where I had to come in this year in regards to forgiving my biological father. It's like, Dominique, you can't keep not letting people in, because once I've gotten a true revelation of who God was, I realized God don't just fall out the sky and bless you. He got to use other people around you. And if you don't have any healthy relationships, how are you going to get to the next level? If you're carrying around all this anger and you thinking sex is going to always be the key to a successful relationship, and these dudes keep cheating on you and leaving you, then some got to change. That obviously the busting down is keeping you. You know what I mean? It ain't that. So, my issue of abandonment is, let me do whatever I got to do to keep this man.
Yeah.
And so that's important to be able to say that.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, come on, Dominique, at this point, your dad left you. He abandoned you. He made you feel all of these things. Cool. But you a grown woman at this point. And what decisions are you going to make to say, which he did to me then cannot continue to control what I'm doing in the future?
Right. I think that with forgiveness, I think a lot of people think that means that I have to go to you and be like, hey, April, I forgive you for what you did to me. And it's not, it doesn't have to be that. I
think that's important.
Right. I mean, I can vocalize it to you, but my thing is, forgiveness is for me. I'll forgive you so that I can get whatever it is off of me. I don't have to call you up and say anything, but I have forgiven you. I'll move past it. I'm not going to bring it up again. I'm not going to indulge in whatever else is going on as far as that goes, that situation. But one thing that that Jackson does not do easily is forget. So what I will do is not allow myself to be in that same situation another time, because you're not going to have the opportunity for whatever happened to happen.
And I think that's called wisdom.
Right.
And I think that in that sense is called wisdom. If I know that touching this fire going to burn me,
and
I'm not going to go ahead and keep touching it.
Right.
I think that some people, some people may think that when I decide to forgive, that I'm also deciding to forget. Or so is it that by not forgetting, that am I still placing myself as I don't want to say the victim, but in a position where I may, harbor these ill feelings for this person?
I think it depends on how you're saying you don't forget. If I'm married, my husband step out and cheat on me, and I make the conscious decision to say, baby, I forgive you and I want to keep you. But then every time he do something that I don't like, I'll be like, nigga, you was cheating on me. That's not forgiveness. You didn't forgive him, because now at this point, what you're saying is I am tolerating the fact that you did it.
It's a totally different situation.
So forgetting, we need to understand that forgiving is saying I'm not going to allow that situation to have control over me. And if the first thing I'm bringing up to my husband or whomever I'm in a relationship with, saying, oh, you hurt me, I'm bringing it up 20 years down the line,
or every single time there's
an issue,
that's not forgiveness. That's not true forgiveness.
I just tolerate it. No, meaning that, you upsetting me, but because that past situation doesn't even have control over me anymore, I don't even need to bring it up. Only thing I need to address with you is what's happening today. Not bringing up the past. So I think to your question, it's just a way. If you're using it as a defense mechanism, as a weapon, as something you're dangling over somebody's head, then no, you ain't forgetting.
That's not forgiveness.
You have tolerated,
exactly,
and pushed it to the back of your mind.
Wow, that's good.
And it's easy to be brought back up as soon as a similar situation comes up.
As soon as they scratch you in the wrong way, you like, wait a minute, bring that back up. And that's not forgiveness. That's not really saying, I forgive you. Now, husband, Now look, your track record ain't always right.
It's shoddy.
Okay.
It's shoddy.
Yeah, so I think that when you say that it is shoddy, or you know what, you messed up. I think that like when we say that we're going to, like say in a relationship, I'm going to stay, I'm going to stick it out. Then you need to be making conscious steps or steps to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Have a plan in place to say this is how we move forward, so that we don't have to revisit the situation or circumstance again, because or you will always have in the back of your mind that you know what, this could happen again. So every time he walks out the door, where you going, where you at, and you gotta check your cell phone.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I gotta get that.
Because then it's like, okay, but I think a little bit there is a period though. But listen, don't get it twisted. There's definitely a healing period, you know, between somebody doing you dirty, and this don't even have to be about a man or woman that you're in a relationship with. It could be a parent. Okay, parent, you did me dirty, and your track record, parent, with me is that you keep doing it.
Shaky,
so it's like, okay, I forgive you for the hurt and the pain that you have caused me, and I'm not going to allow it to control me. But the not forgetting and using the wisdom comes in to say, okay, mom, when you start talking like this, I need to make an exit.
Right.
Because you about to give me PTSD.
Right.
Okay.
And I realize that you have some things that you need to work with.
Correct.
And the thing is, a lot of people, I hate to get on the soapbox a little bit, but a lot of people think, and maybe it's a Southern thing, that is everything that your parents or everything your aunt wants or everything your uncle wants, you have to do to like show them respect. And that's it's not true.
That's not the fact.
To me.
Not to me.
It's like, this is who I am, so you're gonna have to respect that, and I'm gonna respect you. But just because you ask me to do something or tell me to do something doesn't mean that I need to do it and hurry up and do it just because I respect you. That's not
That's
true. That's for me. That's like a puppet type thing.
Or to even prove that you have forgiven them.
Right.
I think that sometimes people like to use that victim card in reverse, if that makes sense. So back to the example of the husband. The husband has cheated on said wife. Said wife said that she forgave him. But now husband is trying to play the victim card. Well, I think you just doing that because of what I did back then. No, bro.
Yeah, right.
Like, you know, and I think that we also have to be careful of that. That if we do get into a place of forgiveness, that we don't allow what or whom we have forgiven to end up controlling us in a backdoor way.
Yeah.
Right, with guilt or you know, bringing it. You keep bringing it back up to us. You
and
know,
that means that you really have not forgiven at the end of the day.
Not for us, but it's for like the other person.
Right.
Like, you don't believe that I truly forgave you. So you want to keep pushing and kind of like make me prove. I don't have to prove my forgiveness to you.
Right.
You know I forgave you for me. Then I didn't forgive you to make you feel better about what you did.
Right. And I think that that's why it's always good to just put it out there in the air, have a conversation about it. Maybe even, you know, counseling is needed so that you guys do have some type of framework or way to move past it, so no one is going through the back door or even the front door for that instance.
But I'm going to throw in a caveat. What if you are the person that hurt somebody else?
Right.
Should there be a level of forgiveness for you so you don't hold guilt, shame, and condemnation over your own head about how you behave to somebody else? Because I think that that's a level of forgiveness that we also should explore. I hurt you. I did something to somebody else. I'm a bad person. I'm my mistake. No, you're not. You are not your mistake. You are not that decision that you made 20 years ago. Forgive yourself that you made a bad choice, and don't let nobody else bring it back up. No, that's the old me, and that's what I did before. I forgave me, and if you ain't forgive me, then that's your business.
Right.
That has nothing to do, you know, with me. And I think that we need to understand that forgiveness goes both ways.
Both ways.
Whether you have done something to someone else, you need to forgive you. Whether somebody has done something to you, you need to forgive them and not allow it to
fester. Don't have it.
That's the best word for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love so much about some of the Bible stories is the idea of forgiveness. I think that Jesus Christ, he gives us one of the greatest examples of that, with him going on the cross for us, and then being the example of, you know what, I will choose love, unconditional, despite what you're doing. Like, I don't deserve to be here, but I'll still do it. I mean, one of the things that that happened to Jesus before he was even crucified and died was that he was there. They spat on him. They lied on him.
Absolutely.
You know, they took his clothes, and then they were basically betting on his clothes and saying, all right, you know, he ain't gonna get his clothes. He on the cross. He about to die anyway. So, you know, and to be able to see that, but then at the same time, he was able to look down and say, you know what, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And I think, okay, go ahead.
I just want people to take a moment to think about what you just said.
Right.
Okay.
I'm just saying because I think people just gloss over that.
Right.
But I think it is extremely powerful that all these things happened to this man.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All these things happened to this man. Mm-hmm. And in the end, he still said, forgive them, Father, because they don't know what they're doing.
Right. And I think that when you say like to gloss over it, I think that why would God want us to know that? Mm-hmm. Because I think that in our daily walks is important. Like,
and I think it is because one of the things that they've also done to Jesus was rip out his beard. And at that time, having a beard was a sign of status, success, like respect
for a man.
So for a man,
right, that's his strength.
So for you to rip it out was like you ripping away his respect,
his manhood.
Yes, and in today's society, a lot of times the reason why we can't let go is because we say you tried it.
Yeah,
you
right.
have disrespected me. You have crossed a line for me personally that is no coming back from over that line. And it's good to know that we can't gloss over it because Jesus said you have crossed multiple lines. Okay, not only did you lie on me, you're gonna rip my beard out, bro. Like you doing the most. They're doing the most. Right? They have crossed the most lines.
So disrespectful. So disrespectful.
Sitting in my face,
right,
honey. Jesus. I don't. In my face, because jail time, I need bail money, But I think it's important. I think that God wanted us to see that, so it can say our relevancy today is we get so bent out of shape over somebody stepping on a brand new pair of shoes,
right?
Some stuff, and it's just at this point, it's like if Jesus, God Himself, was able to take the most disrespectful acts from the most disrespectful, not deserving people like you and I, then we can surely say what you have done to me.
Right.
I'm able to give it that level of grace and forgiveness because I'm assure you what you've done to me is no equivalent to what we have done to God over and over and over again, and especially during the crucifixion.
Right.
And I think that helps us to understand as a key point to live by is to not misjudge or mishandle the blessing in your season by mishandling or misdealing with your present state, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to always understand the bigger picture and understand the blessing in it. At the end of the day, forgiveness is necessary. What happens when you forgive, you can move on. Mm-hmm. Because how long will you ever continue to live or to have hate or ought against somebody? And what in you having that hate, what good is it to you?
Right.
What good is it to the other person? At the end of the day,
what are you benefiting from?
What do you benefit
just
from?
Just like she said, now you got high blood pressure and ulcers
right.
and all kind of, just for having
stressed out, hair falling out, angry and mad.
The other person is sleeping fine.
Right.
The other person is fine.
Your happiness is gone. Right.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, listen, there's a lot of different circumstances, some that we probably didn't even scratch the surface of, that will define a situation where you need to figure out, is this a shifting moment?
Yeah.
Do I need to shift
the way I do that? Right.
And do I need to change my fundamental understanding? Okay. Shift happens. So with that, we want to help you understand how to live in your own shift when it comes to letting go.
Right. Absolutely.
So one of the first things is that we have to make a conscious decision. It all starts with our thinking.
Yes.
We decide not to let what happened to us affect us.
Right.
Agree.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Forgiveness also begins with forgiving yourself. That's the first person that needs to be forgiven in order for you to forgive somebody else.
Right. And putting yourself in that person's shoes, because all of us are flawed. They don't know sometimes that they're even offending you, and if they are offending you, is it because they're operating out of hurt and pain?
Right. Something may have happened to him.
Hurt people.
Unfortunately.
And you have to understand too, from a spiritual perspective, the fight is already fixed. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
Correct.
You don't have to seek out revenge on your own. Understand that God's got you.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that it's also critical that we remember that in these times of living in this shifting moment of forgiveness, is that every decision is an opportunity to go your own way or to choose God's way. Right. And if you're not saved, think about it this way. Are you going to continue to choose a way that ain't working, period?
Yeah.
Or are you willing to get uncomfortable and make a true change?
Right.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, with that being said, that wraps up our segment of self-reflection. We look forward to seeing you next week. We got more goods, more things to talk about here at Totally Naked.
Yeah.
If you like us, like, share, and subscribe.
Drop the comments down
absolutely.
below and tell us about your forgiveness journey. We'll see you next week.
All
Bye.
right.
Thank you for watching. Bye.